Hi, I'm Dr. Asghar Husain, orthopedic surgeon. Today's quick question, is inflammation bad? Quick answer, no, it's not. The way to understand that is inflammation is the way the body reacts to something inside or outside of us. So think about that for a second. If you remember back to COVID, when you got a virus and the immune system went crazy, that was bad. But if you break a bone, the body's reacting to that also. So it turns up all the inflammatory signals. A lot of things are happening. Yes, you hurt. Yes, you get swelling, but you also get healing. So within all of those inflammatory cells are the proteins and the cells that are necessary to get things to heal. So there are components of inflammation that can be adverse to you, but there are a lot of parts of it that are good. Without inflammation, we would die very quickly. So is inflammation bad? No. We need it to survive, but the future is going to be how we understand it, how we channel it, how we modulate it in a way that is going to be useful to us.
But really quickly too, I know this is kind of basic, but what is inflammation? A lot of people hear that word constantly, but I don't think everyone really knows what actually is inflammation. What are we talking about?
It's the reaction of your body to something inside or outside. What I mentioned earlier. When you have...
What do you mean though, a reaction in your body? What specifically are we talking about?
There are immune cells that are constantly signaling what's coming in, what's going out. So if you get a virus in your system, the immune cells notice that and they send out a signal that creates other reactions that will result in the outcome. Or, as I mentioned earlier with the broken bone, there's a chain reaction of events that will actually happen that will lead to other things happening. And part of that is people get swelling and people get pain and they think that's bad. Well, actually it is a byproduct of everything else that's happening. For example, if a building is on fire, the inflammation would be, hey, we're sending out a signal, now there are policemen, now there are firemen everywhere, there's smoke coming out of the building. Well, all of that noise is not a bad thing. They're actually trying to do their job. So ultimately, the body is always trying to do what it's already designed to do. What we need to do is to just get it to do that. If you exercise very heavily, you trigger the inflammatory response. That is actually a good thing because when you're resting that evening, when you're asleep at night, all of those cells are working to fix the damage that you caused while you were exercising. And by damage, in this case, I mean it in a good way. If you stress a muscle and you get it to grow, you're causing some damage, which creates an inflammatory signal that will then trigger other downstream reactions that will help you get improvement in your strength, improvement in your muscle size, improvement in muscle endurance.
So what are these actual physical manifestations of these inflammatory reactions? Like these responses, what actually is, like if you have inflammation in your knee, what does that actually mean? How does that manifest itself physically as something experienced?
Well, we can take a deep dive into it, but my simple answer is you can get swelling, you can get pain, you can get redness in some situations. But again, that is the byproduct of what I just said. When your body is trying to fix something, there's a lot of cellular noise or a lot of things that are going on. If you injure a part, there are blood vessels in there, and so you'll get bleeding. So when you get swelling, the swelling itself is that part getting injured, but it's also the body on top of that trying to fix it.
So it's trying to bring stuff to that injured location.
That's right. Most of the time, the body is doing what it's already designed to do, and all of that is mediated by our immune system, which is critically important. So if you take an anti-inflammatory, for instance, if you take an anti-inflammatory, you will turn down the inflammatory response. You will most likely make it hurt less, make it swell less, but you might also make it heal less. So that's important to recognize. In some situations, that is still okay to do, but not in all situations, and certainly not as a routine, regular goal.
So you're saying if you get injured and you get some swelling in your, let's say, elbow, knee, whatever, don't just pop some Advils to get the swelling down.
You want to understand what the reason for that is. If you have some idea of the nature of the problem, then you're really going about it in a thoughtful way.
Okay, so does it make sense at that point to take the Advils to get the inflammation down, or are you saying that we should allow the inflammation to help in healing?
Generally, inflammation as a result of an injury is there to try to get you to heal.
Okay.
It's how you channel what you do and what you add to the equation that will help. And so I would say, generally speaking, for me, I don't routinely just throw in an anti-inflammatory in a generic plan. For me, it's always understand the problem and trying to figure out how do you get to where you want to get to.
Right. Okay. So once again, these are just general concepts, right? It's not specific advice for any specific issue that you're having.
Right. That's my disclaimer. If you have any real orthopedic issue, see a healthcare provider so you can get useful advice. I'm trying to inform, and I'm going over questions and misconceptions that I very often see where people misunderstand and they just feel like, hey, if I just suppress inflammation, I'm somehow helping myself. And that is not necessarily the case.
Yeah, and I think most people actually think that. When they hear inflammation, like bam, the first thing they want to do is take an Advil or something.
That's right. And there's plenty of scientific information out there that will strongly suggest that if you take an anti-inflammatory at a significant dose for long enough, you can decrease soft tissue healing, let's say muscle and tendon, and you can decrease bone healing as well too.
And there you have it.